Hello guys, I'm back. This is going to be kind of on a couple things here. One, I wanted to kind of make a video. I already sent him an email, Oldbulboradio, I think I've got that pronounced right. Anyway, on what I think's going on from his email that he sent me. But I thought I'd kind of go in a little more detail of a few other things that he was having going on there. And anyway, if we look at the schematic here, most of his voltages, I've got his email up here, are fine except when you get to this 6Q7. Pin 3 is the plate, and it's negative 0.8 volts. The grid on it is 0 volts. Okay, that'd be on the triode section. And he says further in the video or in the email that when he removes the grid cap, then the tube's plate rises to 81 volts, which would be more in tune with what it's supposed to be doing. Now, there's nothing in the circuit that really would allow for that to happen, so about the only thing that can be going on is, at least in my opinion, is the tube is shorted internally. It could be a grid short, it could be multiple shorts on the elements in there. That's causing the problem. So I shot him off an email saying that for starters, that'd be the first thing I would do, is get a good operating 6Q7 and a known good tube or a new old stock tube to put in there. He had some other questions, one pertaining to this 15 meg resistor. He said when he replaced it with another 15 meg, his voltage dropped to virtually nothing here, which doesn't surprise me. I think this is a misprint on the schematic. He switched it to 15K and he got it up to 104 volts. It should be 85, but I think between a couple things going on there, from looking at the other voltages on the plates, including the 6F6 and everything, that between probably him running a line voltage greater than 115, more like maybe 120 or 125 volts, and also using a digital multimeter, which would be about 10 meg input impedance, and this is probably was set up for more like 1,000 ohms per volt meter. That would pretty much increase these voltage by 20 to maybe even 30%. So if you figure at least 20%, then from 85 to 104, that's perfectly fine. So I would stick with the 15K, because I really do believe that this is, at least for right now, the 15 meg is a misprint. A lot of radios that use a 6A8 and a 6K7 will be running anywhere from 20 to 27K here. But until the radio is fully operational, I just leave the 15K, and then after that, then you could always play with that value. The other thing that was in the email was on the 6K7 pin 5, which is right here. This goes right to ground, and I'm not understanding exactly how he's getting negative 2.9 volts there. I didn't bring him up on here, but he sent me some pictures too, and it shows this tube extremely well, and that pin is well soldered to a ground lead going to chassis ground. So I don't know if there was just a misreading there or what's going on for sure, but right now I wouldn't be concerned. The main concern is with this tube right here. I think once that's replaced, the radio will come in more in operation, and might work just perfectly fine. The rest of the voltages on here look pretty decent. nothing to really talk about. So his name's Marlon, and Marlon, if you're watching this, yeah, just go ahead and replace this one. Place it with a tube that you know for a fact is good. Either order a new old stock, and there's places online you can get new old stock. I'm not real keen on eBay. I've bought tubes from them and off of people off eBay, and I've had problems with them in the past sometimes. So, but tubedepot.com, I believe, and there's a few others on there. Vacuumtubes.net is another one I can think of. I think it's Antique Electronics Supply also sells tubes. I should have went over a list on them. If anybody else watching this, if you got some other suggestions for places to buy tubes, go ahead and put them in the comments too. But I'd rather buy from somewhere like that where I know that I'm a little more guaranteed. And unless you have one, if you got one in a working radio that's working, then you can always try it out. But I would go there first and see where that gets you. The other part of this video deals with this thing, the Hickok, which I've through some more research found out is definitely a Hickok. As opposed to one of the other brands that made it. Turns out that my research, this has got a B on the end of the model number, and what the B stood for was the fact that it was made by Hickok themselves. But that's neither here nor there. I honestly believe this thing is possessed at this point in time. I went through all the switches, and for the most part, actually did not find anything wrong. What turned out to be, I was using the other schematic, and although they should be all the same, because they're from the same unit, that other one was actually a little wrong. This is the one that actually came with it. I found out that if I just pushed down the top on my scanner, it would actually scan without having a bunch of shininess to it that would mess it up. So anyway, I've been cleaned through all the switches and everything's connected up right. The interesting thing about it is I finally broke down and actually put my meter across the meter that's on there, and virtually any other test other than amplify, as long as you're not pushing this button here, the amplify button, for amplifier, like you're testing an amplifier. You can test, do gas tests, rectifier, and line test and everything. You get, with the meter hooked up, my DVM hooked up correctly across here, negative here, positive here, I get a positive reading. And consequently, this meter, the meter on the unit, moves properly. Moves upscale. The minute you put an amplifier tube in there and you push this, then you actually get a negative reading here, and which makes the meter try to go backwards. Now, at one point, I played around with I did it. I unsoldered the wires and actually connected test leads out so that I could, while it's setting up right, I could actually change it around. Got the line set up, got everything else set up, got it all warmed up, and then before I pushed this, I flipped the leads, and the meter actually read the proper reading that it's supposed to read. I used a couple of new old stock tubes that I could both test with this one and the B&K, and they both read pretty much exactly the same. So the unit's working, but for the life of me, so far I have not been able to actually trace down exactly. I went through the switch, made sure it's connecting everywhere like it's supposed to, because basically all it's doing is connecting up the screen, if there is a screen, and the plate and I've chased that down. It is correct. The switch is correct. All these switches are wired correctly according to this schematic, which came with the unit, and I really just can't. It's possessed. I really do think so. But it's got to be something simple, something I'm missing. So my next probably thing I'm going to do is actually start stripping it down. This thing's got some pretty tight bundling going down underneath the transformer, and there's a slim chance that something could be shorted. You know, that just, you know, one of these leads maybe leading off of here going in that bundle could be somehow, because there's a couple places where that bundle fits pretty darn tight and they squeeze it pretty darn tight. So it's possible it could have shaped, and so that's probably where I'm at on the next part of it. I tried several different tubes in it, everything. I also ran through, there's on the web, there's a place, it's tubesound, I think, .com. Anyway, they go over how to calibrate one of these. Well, I did everything that I could do, or checked everything I could do, short of anything dealing with amplifier, as far as, you know, operating this button here, you know, the micromoles and stuff like that, since the meter wants to read the wrong direction. But everything else actually is right on the money. R here for bias was within 1 tick, a little marking on the dial, and actually all that was just this. These don't fit perfectly tight. You can rotate them just a little bit, and I just barely budged it, and that brought it right on the money. All the rest adjustments, line adjust, everything was exactly where it's supposed to be. The voltage readings were on the money, and so I think the unit is actually good. It's just that for some odd reason, when you push that button, something's not reading right, something's not working right. So it's going to take a little more digging into it deeper. I checked and double checked the voltages here and here, because these make up the balanced circuit. Both are right on the money of 170 volts. Now I went ahead and checked the voltages down here. All voltages are good, so the wiring's good. Now, unless the schematic is wrong, which, you know, there is that slim chance, but there's several others of these even online that you can find that are for the I177B, and they all match this one. So and I haven't seen anything about anybody saying anything about, oh my gosh, you know, their schematic is wrong. So it's got to be something going on in that wiring, is where I'm starting to lean towards. So anyway, that's where I'm at, and Marlon, you change that tube out and then let me know what you find, or make another video of it. I think as far as everything else, for the time being, we're okay on. If that tube gets changed out, they'll get the signal going through, and I think things will work all right. Again, like I said, I'll leave the 15K in there. After you get the radio, once you get the radio working, you can always play with that value to see if you can get a little better performance, or see what it's doing. And then, like I said, my other little concern was on that pin 5. I wouldn't worry about at this point in time. The main thing is try to get this thing going. So just try changing out the tube, because I think it's just shorted. The tube's bad. So anyway, it looks like my battery's running low. So, and this has ran long enough. I'm going to do a video probably tomorrow. I want to answer a lot of comments and stuff. I'm having a hard time with typing right now, winter. So anyway, I want to just do a video on answering comments. You guys has left me a lot of really fantastic comments, and So I want to do that. And so anyway, until then, thanks for watching, and thanks for your comments, and I'll see you then.